Shake up the system, light up the mind. We're chasing the edges they say not to find. Flow like a river, fierce and precise. Lollydabbing through limits, no need to think twice. No cheat code, no shortcut plan, just grit and grace and a mic in our hand. Keri and Richard pushing past norms, dancing with dopamine, writing brainstorms. This is the art of impossible. Fueling the spark, making the improbable unstoppable. Drop into flow, where the wild things grow. Welcome to the edge of control. Lollydabbing the impossible. Curiosity's compass, purpose is fuel. Hard goals and habits, breaking old rules. Risk it, own it, bend what you know. This is the lab where peak minds grow. No easy win, no magic cue, just science and soul and something true. We're not just talking, we're breaking the mold. Lollydabbing with stories bold. This is the art of impossible. Fueling the spark, making the improbable unstoppable. Drop into flow, where the wild things grow. Welcome to the edge of control, with Keri and Richard in tow. It starts with passion, moves with grit. Stack those triggers, then commit. You're not broken, you're built to fly. So lollydab loud, reach for the sky. This is the art of impossible. Fueling the spark, making the improbable unstoppable. Drop into flow, let your mission grow. Keri and Richard know we're lollydabbing the impossible.
This is your brain.
This
on
is your
lights.
brain on flow.
Hello, everyone.
Oh, my goodness.
And welcome. Hello, everyone, and welcome.
Hello. I hope everybody had a great 2 weeks.
Look at this. We got
All sorts of friends in the chat today.
yeah, there is. Irwin's out there. Robbie's out there.
Beaver's
Al
into
Bundy's
his
out
house.
there. Man, thank you guys for coming in. We appreciate you being here.
Ah.
So
I
good
was
to see
laughing
you.
because I was like, put on a deep beat, and here comes the urban. What do you
Yeah,
guys
I
think
just
about the new
thought it
intro
was-
song? Oh, you've done worse. Oh man, I have to admit, I've been playing the intro song
Yeah.
just cause.
Maybe just like that. It's got a pretty good. It's a reggae-ish, but not. But dance, but not. But it's unique. It is a unique. I do not have it memorized like she does. She's better than me.
No, I don't have it memorized either. I just make it look good.
Oh, okay.
No, I just listened to it. Like, okay, so if you see the views on the intro video, like 3/4 of them are me just like cranking it up, like do 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 do. I cannot wait for this show. It is. It's. I think that was one of the prompts I used was trap jungle vibes.
Yep. Really good stuff, though. I mean, it turned out nice.
You know, my video skills are improving. I got us to go bump, 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 bump.
Right. Yeah, we're still using AI music and singers, but we'll get there.
You know,
We'll get
listen.
there. One piece
I
at a
would like to
time.
eventually record our outro because that one's going to be consistent regardless of what we're going through. So,
Yeah.
that's on the wish list.
Yeah.
More cowbell. Urban said it has a
Melodic cowbell sound.
melodic cowbell sound. More
Love
cowbell.
That, love that.
It does. It makes dishes fun. I've put it on a couple of times washing my dishes. And I'm scrubbing the dishes, scrubbing the dishes. This is the art of impossible. Which is how I feel about dishes sometimes.
It's exciting for me to be doing this now. This was just occurring to me because I have new possibles. In the introduction, he talks about the non-capital impossible and the capital impossible, and the difference that he is distinguishing between the two of them. And I had a lot of little case impossibles, lots and lots of little case impossibles. But recently, I have scored about, I don't know, it's hard to count, half a dozen or more capitals, things that I did not think were possible or would ever be possible are now possible. So it's and this is just occurring to me now. I know we talked about doing this book for like almost a month now. But
hey, listen, we all have that procrastination inside of us. It doesn't make sense till it makes sense, right?
Yep.
Well, okay. So I think this is what a geek I am about this book. I have the hard copy that I pre-ordered, but then I couldn't wait for it to ship, so I bought the audio version. So, and this was back in, I don't know.
She's a junkie.
Oh man, a little bit. So I thought, okay, so this is going to take us more than 4 weeks. It's not going to be as neat and tidy as the 7.5 lessons about your brain, where we talk about lesson 1, lesson 2, lesson 3, and just kind of rip through it. It's a little bit more meandering, and I kind of wanted to.
If you're wondering, these are rabbit holes.
Is that what those are? I thought they were meandering spiders.
Well,
they're not meandering spiders?
I was just thinking, you could just bore deeply with the rabbits down, Bugs Bunny territory. Way down.
This is like Watership Down. You are living with those rabbits. You have named those little suckers. You're fighting it out for the hierarchy. This is gonna meander and go all over. There's gonna be questions and things that are gonna take us off of the subject of the impossibility or possibility or whatever we may be speaking. This book is not what you think it is, period. Period. It says it's a primer for getting into flow state. It's kind of like watching the clouds. Okay, whatever. If you don't like rabbit holes, it's kind of like watching the shifting clouds. We'll take that. I accept that. We can enter that in.
Like. Yeah, you can insert your own enjoyment
metaphor
in there. Metaphor.
Your own analogy enjoyment. Okay, so since just the introduction, we were kind of laughing a little, and I said, save it for the pod, Richard. We were laughing about just the introduction is kind of meaty in and of itself. So I think we'll take this first episode just to introduce y'all to who Stephen Kotler is, who this author is. And I encourage you, I didn't put any links in, but just look for his name. Yeah, I'll get there. Listen, I did the intro video. It's a banger. We'll stop it at that. But if you just enter Stephen Kotler, did I spell that right? Yes, I did. Okay, so take that, copy and paste it into your YouTube search algorithm, and you'll get all sorts of shit. It's really easy, okay? Yeah. He does all sorts of live talks. He does all sorts of things, but I'm going to catch you up.
Free with your YouTube.
Well, your proctologist might be able to get you there, but I think there's probably more pleasant ways. Urban. Anyway, so Stephen Kotler he's a writer. He started as a sports writer in the 90s when there was like this really big curve of like achievement. So copy and paste. Oh, wow.
Skateboarders, snowboarders, surfers.
Yeah. Rock climbers. Yeah, he did action sports writing.
Extreme shit.
Extreme sports. And we all know, like, in the 90s, that's when, like, all of a sudden Tony Hawk was doing, like, his crazy shit. And, like, eat urban. That is off topic. Okay. I have to be focused and not look at the chat because I get really distracted. Look into my eyes. All right. So he did these action sports things. At some point, he was started getting really sick. Okay, and he was diagnosed with all sorts of crazy stuff, everything from AIDS to MS to just like these debilitating diseases. They finally diagnosed him with Lyme disease. Okay, and then he started all the antibiotics and the stuff that kind of diet and all the things that kind of go along with having Lyme disease, and he just kept getting worse and worse. And pretty soon they were just like, well, we'll just keep you on these and good luck, sir. So he was literally like, he tells this story, he was literally laying in bed, like trying to figure out how he wanted to die so it wasn't too impactful for everybody. Like, I mean, really low moment. And his friend comes over and she's like, we're going surfing. And he's like, I can't even get out of bed. What do you mean we're going surfing? She's like, come on, we're going surfing. So she drags him out, takes him surfing, and he says he got up on a wave and for just a few moments, he was like free. He describes his whole like experience in this Mind Valley talk. So if you do Stephen Kotler, Mind Valley, you can hear it right from his mouth. And he tells the story in a lot of different places, but it's always the same story. He achieved what he now knows is flow state. And he is like, I came out, I was exhausted, but I felt better. And he's one of these guys who's like, okay, well that worked and it was painful and it sucked to get there, but I'm now going to surf every day. So then he started surfing every day and he started dropping into flow every single day and it fucking cured his symptoms of Lyme disease. So there's a lot of like healing things that come with flow. Now he doesn't dive into that as much as that was his like launching off point. So he reaches out to Mihai Csikszentmihalyi, which is a mouthful of a name, but he's the godfather of flow. Anybody that knows any sort of flow research understands who Mihai Csikszentmihalyi is. And he ended up like, he was his mentor, worked right underneath him. He's gotten, he has branched out into just meeting with other sorts of neurobiologists, neuroscientists, figuring out like, what is this flow state? And at the end of the day, does he talk about what the chemicals are in flow state?
He doesn't talk about the chemicals. He talks about the parts. In the introduction, he does not go through any of the chemicals. Well, not in any detail anyway.
I thought he touched on them.
He talks a lot about the formula, and by formula, he literally means pieces.
Yeah, like parts, like E
parts,
plus A equals Z plus A plus Z.
Yeah, it's not like whatever. A chemical formula.
Yeah. All right. So, in addition to writing this book, Stephen Kotler has written a bunch of other books, some of them in collabs with other people, some of them on his own. I think Rise of Superman and Stealing Fire was in collaboration with Jamie Wheel, who is also a flow enthusiast is what I'll call him. They kind of went off in different directions. Jamie Wheel is a little bit more of the Burning Man sort of existentialist, and Stephen Kotler is definitely like, what is the science of this? And he's written at least 2 fiction books that I know of that I love. He writes a book about a small furry prayer. So he does animal. He rescues weenie dogs.
Nice.
And chihuahuas.
Weenie dogs.
Yeah, and little dogs. So he has like a little dog rescue, and he hikes them all around all the time. And he wrote Abundance, Bold, Tango, Last Tango in Cyberspace, Angle Quickest for Flight. So he does a lot of.
Sure.
Did you hear that little?
I did.
Bark?
I was wondering if maybe you ran over the dog with the chair.
No, she's just pressuring me. She just wants my attention for something, and I don't know what it is. If it's food, she has food and water, so we're just gonna go with it's gonna be fine. We're gonna go with she's fine. Bold was a book that I think. I mean, I don't know if I want to make that. Well, okay. So like former presidents have read this book and been like, this is going to be, or maybe it was Abundance. This is going to be great. Like what Stephen Kotler is proposing with this co-author in Abundance is truly could be a reality for the world if we all kind of step up and do what we're supposed to do as citizens of the earth. Take that as you will. We won't, because we're humans, and humans be humaning all the time, right? Humans be humaning. But he has a lot more, he has a lot more credentials under his belt. As a matter of fact, he was very resistant to writing this book because he's like, I don't want to write another self-help book. There's so many self-help books out there. And people are like, but you got to write something that helps people understand without having to go through all the things that you went through. Yes. If you play music, flow is a common experience. And so well, here, I'm going to read this quote that he has in the beginning by Miles Daisher. Yeah.
Oh, that's a good one. I like that one.
Yeah. It says, ever since you were a little kid, you always had a dream about what you can accomplish. As soon as you get close to that dream, there's another. There's always a desire to keep learning, keep evolving. Here's a line. Let's tickle it a bit. And then you figure out it's not actually the line. The impossible is actually a little further out. So let's go over there and tickle it again. And you do this for long enough and you just get used to it. I love that.
Yeah, love that quote. And it's
love
true.
that quote. It's the truth of the matter. And so, okay, so let's define flow. According to Stephen Kotler. And I'm going to call him an authority on flow, so I'm going to trust this definition. But his biggest thing...
Just read the introduction and you'll think he's an expert on flow. Just from the introduction alone.
He's done the work.
Oh, yeah. This man has done... Cool. What a life.
So around page 10, he says, personality doesn't scale. Biology, on the other hand, scales. So what is scaling? Replicates. You can replicate it. You can replicate it in any, like your personality can't be replicated. You can't teach your personality to somebody else. They can emulate you, but you can't scale it, right?
It'll always be an emulation. It won't ever be me.
Biology, on the other hand, is. It's the very thing designed by evolution for everyone. Love that. And he says the answer to this is like, what is the biological formula for being able to accomplish the impossible? Hey, you have a little subscribe icon at the bottom. That was very clever. That's new.
No, I thought
Okay.
I'll show you how to do that. It's pretty damn easy.
That's pretty clever. I like that. Okay. So that blah, blah, blah. The answer is flow. And flow is defined as an optimal state of consciousness where we feel our best and perform our best. It is a state created by evolution to enable peak performance. This is why in every domain, whenever the impossible becomes possible, flow always plays the starring role. All right. So describing flow as an optimal state of consciousness doesn't get us very far. The term refers to those moments of rapt attention and total absorption when you get so focused at the task at hand that everything else disappears. Action and awareness merges and our sense of self vanishes. Time passes strangely and performance just soars. It has an impact on both our physical and our mental abilities. Motivation, productivity, creativity, innovation, learning, memory, empathy, environmental awareness, cooperation, collaboration. Some studies, this is like as high as 500% above baseline, which is awesome. And I think who doesn't want more motivation, productivity, creativity, innovation, learning, memory, empathy, environmental awareness, cooperation, collaboration to those are like all the pretty things in life, I think. Like, that's all the things that I want.
What I got, because as we talked, she said save it, so now I'm bringing it out because all I have read or listened to at this point is literally the introduction. I have not gotten into any of the meat of this, and there is so much information in just the introduction that I'm a little bit overwhelmed thinking about going through the rest of this book. I'm not gonna lie. And then Keri, in her infinite wisdom, picks up her book she's so fucking proud of and says, look what I did. Look at all these scribbles.
This is from years ago too. Yeah, I mean, at this point, this book is like 5-6 years old. So
yeah, right. I mean, yeah. So,
that's just in the introduction, y'all.
So this is some heady stuff, and you're probably, to stay with what we're talking about, gonna need to at least listen to some stuff.
Yeah. Like I said,
related
he
to
is
it.
all over the YouTube. You don't need the actual book to understand and pick and choose, like to understand his conceptual like space, who he's talked to. You could look at interviews. He's had a lot of conversations with a lot of people. He is all over the YouTubes, y'all.
Yep. And he's been in so many different facets of businesses that are all related to this, in public speaking, in following action sports people around, watching them do brand new things every single day, and getting them falling off of cliffs and breaking his, I can't remember how many bones he says he broke in the
All of them.
introduction,
I'm pretty
but
sure
it's-
the answer was all of
it's
them.
pretty much all
Some of them
He-
twice or 3 times.
and at some point he came to the realization that I can't keep following these guys.
Yeah, right.
But he has done.
I've discovered what the puppy problem is. I'm going to solve it. She has lost a
Okay.
ball, and so she's digging under the desk looking for this
Got
ball.
it.
So you
it.
keep talking about
I
what you
will
learned
keep
about this
talking about my
introduction.
thing. So yeah, it's crazy good the way that he lays this all out and talks about what he's done in his life, because throughout his entire life, he demonstrates that he has chosen to search for this impossible, which is why that quote is so apt. When he was, just as one example, it's quick. When he was 9, his brother came home from a friend's house and could do some sleight of hand with the little foamy ball things. And it was magic, except he said, yeah, that's magic, but bullshit, it's not magic. There's a reason that it works. So then he had to figure out how, so then he spent the next 3 years of his life learning how to do sleight of hand and studying magic, the science of it. He didn't want to be a magician, but he wanted to understand this. So this guy goes deep, and he goes at it from a scientific perspective.
Yeah,
This
let me
isn't philosophy.
just interject a little quote. Sure, said my mentor. If you don't know the formula, it looks like magic, but now you know better.
Yes. That was his magic mentor, was it not? The one he was working with yeah. It's like I said, if you don't get anything else, I recommend you just listen to or read the freaking introduction to this book. It'll change your mind about shit. It'll make you think.
If it doesn't spark your curiosity, there's no hope for you.
You might be dead. Check your pulse.
Check your pulse. Check your pulse. If you don't go and watch at least like a Mind Valley talk, he's talked for all sorts of people. He's talked for the Googles. He's done, I mean, he's big on tech and big on innovation, but at the same time, he's just in awe of how a human can conceptualize these things, pluck it out of the ether and make it a real thing. So like, he's not pro anything other than he is pro human innovation. Like, what is a moonshot? Magic is a manipulation of vibrations. Absolutely. And
Absolutely.
like actual sleight of hand magic is just a formula, right? So like how we sense, if I'm going to get esoteric with it, how we sense vibrations is through these mixtures of our neurochemicals, and we can see and perceive different levels of magic based on what our fucking mixture is. So flow, it manipulates time. It manipulates your ability.
It seemed like everything slowed down when
Or everything
the
sped up.
accident happened or whatever.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's the experience. That is the experience. That's flow.
Right. And him being a writer, he's like, I can't do this action sports thing. When he wrote this book, he has since written a book called Nar Country, which is all about him teaching himself his terrain park at, how old are you, Richard?
60.
Yeah, he was like 60, maybe 60 and a couple bucks
Well,
there. And he taught himself, like he was a skier and a surfer, but like to throw big air in a terrain park and learn how to do it at 60 is damn near unheard of.
Yeah, it actually is. So there's a guy I follow on YouTube. If I'll find the link and throw it out there. But anyway, the guy is recovering from some major disability. He's heavy, but he loved to skateboard when he was young. So he has chosen to start skateboarding again. and it's incredible to watch him do what he does. Because when we talk about the art of impossible, yeah, he is redefining his boundaries every day, and that inspires me just like this book does, because I
It
am
is.
redefining my own boundaries every day.
Yep. And I'm just gonna bring up like Al Bundy here. I can tell you're into the woo woo magic and the chakras and that sorts. And I say woo woo with affection, not with
Yes,
disparaging.
it's
I am very woo woo myself. But what I really love about Stephen Kotler is it like makes the woo woo reality. Like it's no longer like chakras are physical points on your body, yes, but also they are a demonstrative points on your body. And I think that how you use and sense and like again, chakras don't scale. Biology does. I don't know how else to explain it. Like it's not that chakras aren't real, but there's like a science behind that. And there's a science behind being able to tap into this groundedness with this, like having environmental sense is a part of flow. And when you act like flow state is one of those spaces, and we get into it a little bit further into the book, where it fires off all of these chemicals. And actually, he talks about it. And I think I keep coming back to the Mind Valley one because those are the ones I've watched the most, and they're the most digestible at about 20 minutes each. But he talks about ferocity, the habit of ferocity, and he talks about the chemicals. You'll go on this journey with us.
I like
Well, you
that.
might. Yeah. Okay. Okay. All right. I might have to play some clips then. You talked me into it. Weird. Anyways, the brain stew that you create, it's one of the few states of being human that actually brings all of these chemicals in: acetylcholine, endorphins, dopamine. What's the other ones?
It's a list of a lot of good shit.
Yeah, 6 of them. Dopamine. I always lose track after dopamine. Weird.
Phenamine, ampamine, dopamine, sextamine, and the bestamine. There.
Quit making shit up, Richard. He's not a deadhead. He's a punk rocker, but that's just as cool. He's very punk rock. He's very, very fun. And when you watch your, okay, fine. You're not going to watch Al, but you should. You just find a couple of his talks. Just play it in the background because he's very, very entertaining.
He is, after all, a writer. I mean,
He is.
It first and foremost, he is a writer.
And that was his lowercase I is what I think he said.
Yeah,
I mean,
was his lowercase eyes.
He talks a lot about goal setting. He was very conflicted about revealing like his big goals, but he felt like he kind of needed to do so in order to illustrate this book. But there's actually a lot of science behind not telling people about your goals, because if you tell people about what you're going to do, you release the dopamine, and then your body's just like, meh. But I did it. I got acknowledged for it. Moving on. And so you actually stand a better chance of achieving stuff if you keep it to yourself, which is something that is very counterintuitive to what we're taught in pop culture. Be accountable. Share your goals so people can hold you accountable. And there's some science behind not doing that. As a matter of fact, the scientists that studied goal setting was like, yeah, you got to share your goals. And then they did further studies and they were like, wait a minute. And I love science people who are like, okay, so I was wrong. He did have a little bit of a vision. When he first hit his surfboard, he had one of those I am one is all sort of moments. And that's when he was like, what just happened? It was very esoteric, and he was into it, but then he was like, but what happened in my brain here? And really started digging deep. And it is old wisdom, but it's like this very myopic view of an old wisdom. And I love to get into the weeds. Like, I'm not very good at just taking things at face value. Like, it is old wisdom. I'm like, yeah, and? But with all the technology we have now, what can we learn about this old wisdom? I don't know if that makes me a good person or not, but it makes it fun for me. So, welcome to my world.
Well, I don't think, and I also don't think that I don't think that new technology should in any way appear to negate old wisdom either, because it should be based on that to begin with.
It should, and I think we're just kind of getting back around to like this idea of how do we create something amazing. Hi, number 2 with fries.
Hello.
You are new here. I have not seen your name before. Well, we're just getting into this art of impossible. You might have to back up a little bit to hear me geek out about it, but we're literally just going to cover the introduction today. Oh yeah, I don't believe all the theories, and that's why we're here. That's why we're here. But
well, you shouldn't wait. I gotta say something here. You should not believe all the theories, because they're theories. You should be trying to prove or disprove the theories. So
that's what a theory is. I
absolutely agree with that. I don't believe all theories either,
because they are just theories.
I just thought that was worth saying. Sorry.
Thank you. Double tap on that. But okay, so do you remember him talking a little bit about the finite game and the infinite game?
Yes, a little bit, but not as much as I remember about some of the other stuff.
Okay.
So
well, hit us with a few more of the other things that you tell me what else you remember. Did you already go over all the things that you remember?
No. There's more that I remember when he's talking about his. This is in his younger time when he was into the action sports, both himself and as a writer, following these other athletes around. And he talks about them being the bottom of the barrel people. These were not elite athletes. These guys had 12 shots of tequila the night before. Somebody dropped acid. Everybody's smoking dope.
They're all in the parking lot naked, whipping each other across, trying to go over this burning bus.
And then they get up in the morning and they build a ramp, catch a bus on fire, and drag themselves across the parking lot to see who can do the best backflip over the top of the thing in the flames. Proving what was impossible. I love that idea. Now, I don't love the idea of going naked, flying backwards on skis over a jump on a burning bus. No, but the idea that I can envision and try something completely new, and I might be successful by trying, not necessarily only once, but that is, wow, that's eye-opening.
So something you probably don't know about me is I was lifty for 3 years.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what. Yeah. For 2 years, I wasn't pregnant. Third year I was pregnant. It was a little bit different of experience. But there is something about that mountain culture. Like, and I wasn't even like a really heavy duty snowboarder or anything. It's just you get up early, you're there, you're shoveling snow first thing in the morning, getting the ramps ready. Like, everybody's just so stoked to be taking runs, and there's just something that like vibrates in that culture. Like, boom, and you you drink all night and you're back up at 4:30 in the morning shoveling snow again. And I wasn't an athlete, but these people, like, you get a job as a lifty because you're getting paid to take runs, brah. Like, you get fresh powder, brah. Like, it was a thing. And they partied so hard. They would all like rent one house and like stack up on each other. And like, they would come in from out of state and they would follow the snow belts and they would do the thing. And they just want to ride all these different mountains. Like, there was like, I was like, I wasn't that person, but I got to see it. You know, I got to be there. I got to be there. I got to feel that vibration. I got to be in that. And I'll tell you what, like, he's right.
Well, thanks for the sub, number 2. We appreciate that.
Yeah,
Hope
exactly.
You enjoy your time with us.
And I think with just about, and when I think back, and I think back to those times in my life, there is little pockets of other places in my life where people congregate, where I've been able to witness different versions of the same sort of like intensity and vibration. I mean, you said you ride bikes. I'm sure you've seen like, you may not be like one of those intense bike riders, but
I'm not an intense bike rider.
you've seen the culture of people just like,
oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
You know?
I mean, I go to the bike nights and I sit there on my little baby bike and I watch the big boys out there doing cookies and riding wheelies and shit I will never do because I have zero desire to do it. Cool to watch though, and it's fun to be there. It is an experience. Absolutely.
have you ever watched fire dancers?
Mm-hmm.
They do some crazy stuff too, and it's one of those things where like you fuck it up, it's gonna hurt you, you know. And I think it's humans. We crave these sort of pushing of boundaries in our own way in our own lives. If you play music, you're gonna do it with music. You're gonna push those boundaries. You're gonna do that walk that line between innovation, like what is hard and what is practiced.
Mm-hmm.
And you're gonna push yourself. You're not gonna just sit in that, well, I've practiced this is comfortable zone. If you're truly a thing, whatever it is, whether it's writing, whether it's riding a bike, whether it's musician, whether it's just like the fact that I'm sitting here on YouTube now is one of the ways that I've pushed myself out of my comfort zone. Is I have like, before I came across this book, I had been practicing like just talking into a voice recorder and then listening to myself back just to get comfortable with the point of being able to do this. You know. What are you talking about, Al?
Right? I was gonna say that was random as fuck, and it made me laugh because I have no idea what the context of that
For
statement.
who?
It's like I'm going back and reviewing chat here. What the
I know. I was like,
look,
look, I was like, did I miss? Oh, Peggy. Okay, gotcha.
Okay.
She
All
she
right.
pushes. Okay. I see the connection now. All right. Well,
now
thank
we
you,
feel
chat.
better.
I get lost in my head sometimes, and you bring me right back down to reality, and I appreciate chat for that. Peggy Bundy has entered the chat. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Yeah. So like you said, he was like contemplating how is it that these people are able to have like these broken homes that they come from, these extreme lifestyles they're not committed athletes in the sense of like they're practicing, they're sober, they're only juicing up on steroids that are approved. You know, in order to
It's not that.
increase their
even-
performance. No,
lot
they're
of these-
just
They're
they're
people
hungover
who like
and-
to do this shit, and it,
it is magic. I found the passage that says, it's nearly impossible to describe what it felt like to be hanging out with your friends. You know, the ones that you went out with last night, the ones who did 11 shots of tequila, smoked an ounce of weed, dropped acid, built a giant ski jump against the side of an old school bus, parked in the back ski area parking lot, poured large quantities of gasoline over the bus, lit that sucker on fire, and clicked into their skis. Used somebody's old Chevy pickup to tow each other across that icy parking lot and jump at speeds above 50 miles an hour in an effort to win the $5 that somebody put up for the person who could throw the best naked backflip over the inferno, because, you know, making rent's not easy in a ski town.
$5. Okay. Now, granted, this was the '90s, but $5. You're
I
jumping
bet you
over a
couldn't do it. I bet
fucking
you I can.
flaming bus.
Let's go, bro.
Let's go. Right. And I do that with the bike thing. I do that in a different way. Now, the way I do it is a very low and slow way, but it is very exciting for me. I do a lot of slow maneuvers. If you think about the police bike competitions where they're taking these full dress bikes and they're doing what seems impossible to do at speeds that you shouldn't be able to have a bike even moving at, I dig the fuck out of that.
The slow stuff, yeah.
So when
I'll tell you what, as a snowboarder, I wasn't into air. I was into the like I would hit intermediate runs and I'd be like, how can I just like carve the edge of this little
just
lip?
wanna
Just
carve. Yep.
whoop,
Yep.
whoop. My favorite wasn't the deep powder. It was about 2 inches over a groomer. And that just
Yeah.
felt like riding on ice cream to me. And I love, like, it gives me spine tingles just thinking about it, you know?
Yeah, and those
So,
kinds of things are easy. So when my friends are out riding and with me, they might be going through a 25-mile-an-hour corner at 40, laying down, scraping pegs. I'm going through that corner at 30, but I'm in third gear and my bike is just pulling through there. And it's a torque feeling. But that's my flow. That's where I feel everything comes together. I'm one with the bike. All that stuff. I mean, yeah.
but you know, I mean, there's something to be said about people that play those minor notes, you know? Like it's a thing, right? Like
Yep.
playing the sweet stuff,
Hello,
playing the
Chad.
minor keys.
Kiora, my friend.
Hey Chad. Oh, look. All we need is a
Look who
pole
showed up.
vault.
Look
We
who
only
showed
need is a
up.
pole vault to show up and then the gang's all here.
I don't know. You can't count on a pole vault guy. He's
Hell, then my computer would crash and everything would
pretty
go to hell.
unreliable. It's he makes all kinds of promises.
I never asked him to promise. I know better. I don't want my computer to crash. So I think also in this intro, okay, so to set this up, we're going to spend the rest of this book exploring cognitive abilities like motivation, learning, creativity, and flow. And we're going to come to understand why these skills are so crucial to peak performance, whatever you choose to perform peakly at. If you're a mediocre person who's totally okay with being mid and mediocre and having things just kind of stay the same, maybe this isn't the place for you. Just say it. But if you really have like that one thing, I don't care if it's crocheting, I don't care if it's collecting action figures, I don't care. But if there's something that you...
I got a spoon.
Now bend it with your mind. No, I'm just kidding.
I like my spoon straight.
You're like, I only got one. I need it for my cereal.
But yes, the point taken.
You know, so like, and I think we all, whether we admit it out loud or not, we all have that one little thing that we wish we could do. Or that one little thing that we're secretly working on. And you're like, if only I had more time or more motivation, if only I could learn how to be an expert in this thing that seems really crazy to be an expert in. You know, if only, like, what if I was to sit down with the leading person in X, Y, and Z? Like, what would I say to them? And if you want to get to the point where you feel like maybe if you ran into them on the street, you could hold a conversation with them. Like, this is the place for you. We go through all sorts of, like, one of his concepts is the 5 books of stupid. I love it. It's a really great concept. it's really fun.
I'm gonna have to
The
check
passion.
that concept out. I haven't caught that one yet.
Yeah, well, you're gonna have to get into it a little bit further. The other thing that I love that I'm constantly kind of working on myself is the passion. What's the passion formula? What did you call it? I had it just on the tip of my tongue. Oh, the passion recipe.
Passion
So-
recipe, yeah. I couldn't
Yeah.
remember what it was either.
And you know, a lot of this is just like sitting down making lists, which is fine. We can all make a list, right? We can all make a list. I love that he encourages writing with like pen and paper because like that is kind of a lost art. And I'll tell you what, I've done a lot of writing. I do a lot of writing all the time. Just in talking to myself, I like to.
But the funny thing is I'd never think about being able to. All of my electronic devices have the ability to put notes on them, both with the keys and with the voice. All of them, every single one of them. And when I want to make a note of something, I don't even think about using them. It's automatically reaching for my notebook that's next to me and trying to find where I dropped my pen.
Yeah, you know what's really fun? This is how I found the fusion of technology and writing things down. I write it down, take a picture with the phone, extract the text. You know what does a great job of extracting that text? ChatGPT.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. real good at
Well,
it.
I've started playing with it this week, so
Real good at it. And then you could be like, okay, I scribbled down this note and it's like, is this what it says? Yep, you nailed it. Or you have to fix a couple of things and you're like, okay, now I want you to summarize and outline that for me. What am I talking about? I want you to find things that back that up. I want to find things that like just my random thoughts, because this is what I do for fun. I write down things that I think about and it's random as fuck. But usually has to do with why are we who we are and how do we be better? And whatever better means to you, whether it's being a better dad, you know,
yeah, the better
fine.
doesn't-
What's the psychology
what
of
the better
kids?
is doesn't matter. Yeah.
Yeah, what better doesn't matter. You know, I wanted to be better at, you know, making an impact, reaching out to people, getting people to get curious. Hence my name, Curiosity. It all fits in, right? It's just what I'm insatiably curious. I have found that a lot of people in my immediate surroundings, like I try to tell them things or, you know, try to like talk to them about things and they're just like, meh. And I'm like, okay, there's a bigger world out there than just the 10 people I come in contact with every day.
Well, yeah,
and they're not interested, so I've got to get bigger. I've got to talk to more people. And so here I am.
It's just doing it. It's just doing it. And by the way, hello, Auntie. I see you out there, brother.
Auntie Attack, hello.
I think there's a lot of good that comes from writing things down and trying to redefine goals and trying to come up with new ideas I'm cleaning my bike, getting it ready for summer, and I found some broken stuff. So I spent $8 and I bought some leather needles and some strapping and some wax covered
And look at
thread.
you, now you're sewing.
I've never done anything. I barely know how to sew up my socks if they got a hole in them, okay? But now I'm going to try and put the new piece on this leather. So it's apropos. What was impossible yesterday is no longer impossible today. It's just not.
It isn't. The line keeps moving. The line keeps moving. And so I guess that leads me to the motivation piece, which is going to be part one, which is what we're going to get in probably next week, is into part one. And that is motivation. And here's a quote by William James that says, if this life not be a real fight in which something is eternally gained for the universe by success, it is no better than a game of private theatrics from which one may withdraw at will. But it feels like a real fight, as if there is something really wild in the universe, which we are needed to redeem. I mean, can't get much more existential than that, right?
No, not at all.
And I think the point is like, if we have a purpose, it's
true statement, Al.
It's on us to create what that purpose is. It's not given to us. We get to decide what that is. We get to decide where the intersection of our curiosities meet our drive, meet our unrelenting motivation to do whatever. And it starts with these little things, and we just kind of stack them up. And yes, if a cat is curious more than 9 times, is that death scrolling? That's very punny. That's very punny.
It is funny. He has a beautiful mind. He really
Some
does.
people's purpose is to have a porpoise, Chad. And I say, do as your heart desires, but don't hurt the porpoises.
Yes.
I mean,
motivation is something that is generally, it can start externally. You can be motivated by seeing or hearing or smelling or something, but I believe that the motivation that he's going to be referring to in this first section, I'm just imagining right now, this is more about what you tell yourself, how you motivate yourself, and how you think about it. So we'll find out if I'm right. That's my prediction.
We will. And I kind of alluded to the finite versus the infinite game. Tell me what you know about the finite versus the infinite game, and we'll get through this in the next 10 minutes, and we'll get the heck out of here, and we'll see you guys next week.
I'm going to say 0 because I remember the terms, but not the context.
Okay. So, like a finite game is conceptual, right? there's a philosopher, James Carse, that uses the term finite games and infinite games, and it's to describe the main ways we kind of live and play here on Earth. And the finite is just that. It's finite. It has a finite number of options, players, clearly defined as winners and losers, an established set of rules. You follow me still?
Okay.
Can you give me some examples of what like people would conceive as being the finite game here on Earth?
The finite game here, well,
Yeah,
I would envision that as you get married, you have kids, you buy a house, I mean, that's the road. That's what you
Yeah,
do.
and if you make it all the way through that without any major disruptions, you've won. But there's only so many white picket fences available to anybody.
Exactly. Yes.
So
yes.
if you're not in that particular play set, you don't get it.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. So it says it's true for chess or checkers, but it's also true for politics, sports, and war, right? These are all finite games. Infinite games have no clear winners or losers, no established time frame for play, no fixed rules. The field of play is mutable, the number of participants keeps changing, and the only goal is to keep playing. Art, science, and love are infinite games. Agree?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if we're using those as like our conceptual brackets,
But you're going through that. I'm thinking that sounds like life, like living. The act of living is exactly like that. To me, at least if I'm going to envision it as an action, it's exactly like that.
As an art. It's an art and a science. They're ever evolving. They're always changing. So the common human individual, which is none of us here, may I be clear, lives usually far within his limits. Possesses the powers of various sorts, which he or she habitually fails to use. You energize below your maximum. You behave below your optimum. You just don't. You stay within your safe zone. And I know that I was there within, like if I wasn't achieving this finite game, I was like, well, I'm not good enough, and I'd play smaller so that I'd try to win something, right? But when I started breaking out of that mold and started going, well, where am I limiting myself, right? Mm-hmm. And that's when I really started diving in to all these concepts. And like, we are so much, like, we are all more capable than what we know. So, I mean, we all should like break out of these conformities and like ask ourselves, like, what do we want to perform really well in? What is it that we just want to like blow our own minds and maybe blow some other people's minds along the way, right? Yeah. What is it that we want to really do? What is the story we want to look back and really tell about our lives? What barriers do we want to break down and leave like this bushwhacked path for the people that come behind us? Like, we don't have to achieve all the things, but we can start down the path, right?
Yeah.
We can create the stepping stones.
I think that,
but we can't leave that legacy unless we tell people about what we're doing, right? Yeah, unless we share and as we go.
And you have to do. There is an action that has to happen.
There is action that has to happen. Absolutely. So, peak performance is one of those infinite games. Getting really good at things is one of those infinite games. Mm-hmm. Everybody has something, like you said, a lowercase I, that will lead you to that uppercase I. And you don't know if it's going to change the world. But if you don't achieve those lowercase I's, you will never be able to see clearly what that uppercase I is. And we may not ever know how we change the world. But if we don't go for it, it will not be changed. It literally won't be changed, right?
Right.
It's the little things. So at the very end of this introduction, and since we're coming up on 54 minutes, before we go to our outro, I'm going to leave you guys with this thought. There is, I'll start right here. But also, why the quartet of skills at the heart of this book matters so much. Motivation gets you into the infinite game. Learning is what helps you continue to play. Creativity is how you steer. And flow is how you turbo boost the results beyond all rational standards and reasonable expectations. That, my friends, is the real art of impossible. Welcome to the infinite games. So welcome to the infinite game. And next week we're going to talk about motivation. And it started out with that great quote by William James. And I'm going to leave you there. They were talking about some Arnold Schwarzenegger stuff in the chat, but I lost.
Robbie's always talking about Arnold. I think he has a crush on him, but
on Arnold. Hey, who doesn't like Arnold?
I don't know who doesn't like Arnold. I'm sure there's some people out there that don't. Robbie does a great Arnold voice too.
I bet. That I would have to see. All right, y'all. It's been real. It's been fun. It's even been real fun. I've got to find the video.
You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here because
you can't stay here.
Yeah,
because this is the end.
I mean, you could sit there and look at the screen after it puts all the things up there, but that's all.
I mean, we have a lovely song. You can watch the moon rise.
It is. The
outro
song is pretty cool. I like the outro.
I do enjoy the outro. Just some quick house. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate all of you guys for being here. I really do. I'm hoping that I've sparked some curiosity and just like a little bit of that insatiability in you, where you're like, I want to see where this takes me. I want to see how I can up-level my life. If I don't want to up-level my life, ask yourself why. Why don't you want to up-level your life? You know, if everything's great, that means you have some free time on your hands. If everything's great. And that means maybe you should like dive into some of these things that like you never thought you had the time to dive into.
I got my own place now because I did stuff.
Because you did stuff. You did stuff and things. Oh, speaking of stuff and things. Pole Vault says stuff and things, doesn't he?
Stuff and things and junk.
And
stuff
junk.
And things and junk.
Listen, we are all about the science of stuff and things and junk around here.
Indeed we are.
We totally are. I'm going to pop this up here. We did move to 6:30, y'all. I changed it. I updated it on the channel. It's summertime. Yeah, get outside and play.
Voices fading with the moon's call.
Same great place, huh, Velcro?
Thoughts that flew like paper dolls, wrap it up and let it fall. Turn the volume down low, my friends. This chatter's come to an end. Till we gather again and again. Let these moments extend. Quiet, hear the clock tick tock. Words won't stop, but we'll walk the walk. Dream a little till the next talk. Out of time, let's unlock. Turn the volume down low, my friends. This chatter's come to an end. Till we gather again and again. Let these moments extend. In the quiet, hear the clock tick tock. Words won't stop, but we'll walk the walk. Dream a little till the next talk. Out of time, let's unlock. Turn the volume down low, my friends. This chatter's come to an end. Till we gather again and again. Let these moments extend. With open minds, now we drift on the book of fine.
page by page until we bind. Sweet goodbyes, let's unwind.